Hey, good evening, everybody. Subby here at Bomb Guards. Hopefully, everybody is having a fantastic Friday night. You cannot beat the weather that we have had over the last few days. It's going to be coming to a pretty abrupt halt as we go into the overnight hours. We have a dry cold front that's going to be moving through overnight tonight. It's going to drop those high temperatures back down into the 40s for tomorrow, but then rebounding into the 50s on Sunday. And then, of course, next week we have 2 or 3 storm systems that will be moving in next week that will provide us some rain, some thunderstorms. So those down south and maybe even southern Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, they're going to be really under the gun next week, next Tuesday, for a potential outbreak of severe storms along a leading edge of a very powerful line of storms that will be moving through that area on Tuesday. So this is all part of the LRC, guys. We knew that between the 3rd and the 8th of March, kind of the middle point was around the 5th, 6th, that there was going to be a big storm system. Had that down on my calendar the day after Thanksgiving. We've been watching for this, and we will be getting a few bouts of rain and thunderstorms for next week. And then our temperatures still staying up there. They're still staying in the 50s and 60 ranges next week. But winter's not over. There is a potential, if this storm system tracks the way that it's moving, that we could actually get some wraparound snow, light, but some wraparound snow on Wednesday. So winter's not quite over yet. So today is the last day of meteorological winter. Tomorrow starts meteorological spring. So very excited as we start going into the stormy part of the year, and of course the LRC. What we are doing tonight is we're going to start off with just a short video from Gary, and he's going to kind of explain a little bit on the LRC. He posted this just a few days ago, talk about the very unique features of the LRC, and then we're going to take that information and I'm going to break that down to our area, okay, so that we know what's going to be happening here in our area, not just the state of Missouri. And then we're going to go into the severe storm forecast all the way through June for us. So grab you something to drink, grab you a pen and paper, because you'll probably want to take some notes on some of these key dates that we'll be throwing out through this. So worked hard to get all this information together for you guys, so I hope you all enjoy it. So you guys just sit back and we'll get this ball rolling.
It is windy here. I left Breckenridge this morning where it was snowing, and here it's 68 degrees, and the winds are gusting to about 50 miles per hour right now. So if you hear that, that's what's going on. I'm meteorologist Gary Lezak with Weather 2020. March is likely going to come in like a lamb, but then start roaring like a lion, okay? It is going to roar. There's going to be some ups and downs and craziness. March weather madness is about to begin. We'll talk more about that next week. But first, a lot to go over today. So let's take a look and see what's going on. And we can see what the title is. March may come in like a lamb and then start roaring like a lion, and soon on this February 25th, 2025 report. We're going to start a new segment today, The Truth About Weather, okay? What is the truth about various topics? We'll start with the LRC today. Weather 2020 has found the crystal ball. The LRC is the only way to predict where and when significant weather events will happen, and that is the LRC. There is only one way. And so as many examples as we've shown you over the past few months, it's pretty amazing. I need to compile all those I've showcased for you. But it's amazing. The river of air above us is cycling regularly. in the northern hemisphere, and there's another cycling pattern in the southern hemisphere. The accuracy in weather prediction beyond 15 days is thought of as impossible by most when it comes to predicting significant weather events such as tropical storms, severe weather outbreaks, and winter storms. The exact opposite is actually true, okay? The exact opposite. It's not impossible, it's possible. It's not only just possible, but it's 91% accurate in predicting severe weather outbreaks, nearly 50% in predicting named tropical systems. So very interesting. The crystal ball, we'll talk more about that coming up. The two main phases of the 2024-2025 LRC, as forecast in December, well, we are in phase 2 right now. Phase 2. And when we wrote this in December, we said this phase is likely going to produce lake effect snows and a few clippers. Well, one of those exists right now. Look at this clipper and lake effect and a snowstorm all combined together, and a cold surge forecast by Friday evening, February 28th. So as February comes to a close, a cold surge and a storm near the U.S.-Canada border will be in place and in progress. From around Toronto northward, Buffalo might be on that rain snow line. Very interesting heavy snow event coming our way. But most of the United States is calm, as you can see. By Saturday, March comes in like a lamb. As you can see, most of the nation is quiet. Some leftover snow in the northeast moving away on Saturday evening. And a cold surge makes it down into Georgia and maybe even northern Florida before it falls apart. And then look at this. The Gulf of America, I guess that's what we're going to call it now, the Gulf of America. Moisture is going to be starting to come into the south, and that's ahead of a storm coming in. By Tuesday, March 4th, by Tuesday, a week from now, we're expecting Tuesday evening to have, so maybe that's March 3rd or 4th, okay? But Tuesday evening expected to have severe thunderstorms possible. You can see them lined up on the European model, which is slower than the American model. But March is going to start roaring a little bit if this develops. And we have a new product out. It's called our Severe Weather Forecast Guide, our Tropical Forecast Guide 2. And you can go to weather2020.com and see when severe weather is going to strike. But look, our first forecast issued February 8th. This ended up being about a 30-day outlook for March the 7th, so about a 4-week outlook anyway. As you can see here, this segment of the LRC produced severe weather in early November, mid-December, and a setup for severe weather in January. So maybe I'm off a little bit on where we put this in, but we forecasted it February 8th, and it's lining up with sometime next week. The Arctic air to the north, sometimes the cold air dominates these February and March severe weather episodes, so we'll see how much cold air is in place. This would not be warm enough for severe weather if it's this cool, 50s. So we'll see. But the Arctic air is retreated up to the north. What are the other pieces to the puzzle? The Arctic oscillation made the big dip in early January. We had an Arctic outbreak. It turned very, very cold. And then even though the AO went up, the Arctic air was still around, and it blasted down again when the AO dipped deep negative a couple weeks ago, and now it's gone back up. So that's why one of the things, if we were wrong about something this winter, it's basically how cold it got. I did not expect it to get that cold for that long, and I didn't expect the AO to dip this much. But we did say if it does, storms will get energized and Arctic air blasts south, and it just happened to happen a few times this winter. La Nina, the ENSO, the El Nino Southern Oscillation Index, it only dipped below this minus 0.5 for a few weeks this winter, so it will go down as not end up being a La Nina winter. This will be an ENSO neutral winter, but there was a La Nina influence. La Nina tends to push precipitation patterns off to the east, and they have been pushed off to the east. With that grip that I talked about that La Nina has on the Corn Belt, it should loosen up and go away. So I'm anticipating it to get wetter over much of the Corn Belt. And we can see that in our LRC model forecasts that's on our Weather 2020 Vision dashboard. From March 1st to May 31st, the next 3 months, forecasted to have well above average precipitation in parts of Kansas and Missouri, and struggle areas in little spots of Nebraska, South Dakota, and maybe northwest Iowa. So you can see those are areas 70 to 90% of average rainfall. And if you do a week by week analysis, and you can have this tool if you want it, let us know. Contact Bryce at weather2020.com. But you can see there's 3 wet weeks coming our way towards middle of March, end of March, and then again at the end of April into early May. So these are the wet periods forecast for that region that we just showed you, for this area of South Dakota down to Missouri. So more specifically in Missouri, it might be wetter. So go check out your state if you have it. And then temperature-wise, a cold spell will be followed by a warmer period during March. And then as we go towards the end of March and April, we have some freezes forecast. This is the freeze line. So below that, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10 days that forecast to be below freezing as we approach the middle of April. And then that's it. Another cold spell in May, but it should be it for a freeze after the middle of April. So March is looking like a rather wild month of weather. The part of the weather pattern that produced the Arctic blast will return in the last third of the month of March. We'll see if it's strong or not. Severe weather season begins, and with La Nina fading, we are forecasting west systems, should be wet systems, to begin hitting a higher percentage of the Corn Belt and in the next 3 months. If you would like to have the Weather 2020 Vision Dashboard, just contact Bryce at weather2020.com. He'll tell you how to get it. All right, it goes down to your county level as well. So there you go. There's your forecast. I hope everyone's doing very good. And here, let me go back out of this. And again, I went skiing and I didn't break anything, so that's good. I hope everyone's doing great. Let me know if there's any questions at all. Have a great day, and thank you for being part of this Weather 2020 Intelligence Report.
All right, guys, so that was Gary. He was talking about, of course, the middle part of the country, and he was talking about the average temperatures, the rainfall, kind of gave some, Gary sometimes can kind of get up over people's heads from time to time. He's getting better at kind of explaining, but basically, the LRC is the biggest piece of the puzzle. We have different influences. The LRC is going to tell us where those storm systems are and where they're going. Those little influences will tell us what the temperatures are going to be. Are there going to be any variances? Is it going to be snow? Is it going to be rain? Is it going to be a snowstorm or a severe storm? All of those are manipulated by these small influence, but the LRC is by far the biggest piece of the puzzle. So what I've done is I've broken down with the dashboard that I have access to. Thankful to all of you generous donators through the course of the last year and a half. We've been corporate sponsors of Weather 2020. I am now partnered up with Gary Lezak, and I will show you how you can get some of these products at my reduced rate here toward the end of the video. But what I done was I used the dashboard and broke it down to just our 8 counties here in west central Missouri, and that's what we're going to take a look at right now. So, and of course, 2025 LRC spring and severe weather report. So this is going to be, actually, let me take this off so you guys can actually see. Let's do that. And there we go. That way you guys can see that just a little bit better for you. So this is the high temperature by the week on average in west central Missouri. Now notice this is going to be just a little bit different than what Gary just showed, because he was incorporating Nebraska, Iowa, kind of a group average. Now, this is just based on our 7 counties here in west central Missouri. So, as you can see, as we go into March is right here. Average high temperatures forecast for us is going to be in the upper 50s. And if you take a look as we go through the month of March, we're not really falling below that 55, 58 degree range. So all in all, we're going to be at average, if not just a little bit above average, as we go through the month of March and into April. Now the low temperatures, this is also going to be a little bit different than what Gary's shown in those group of states. We are actually going by the county. And as we go into this end of February, in which tonight we have that cold front. So this has been predicting this cold front we have coming in tonight, weeks in advance. And even though my ugly mug is covering it, it's showing right around the 30 degrees, right around the freeze mark. And that's how cold we're supposed to get tonight. We'll get down to just below freezing by morning. And then we take a look at our average lows going forward. And I'm not seeing anything that is below freezing. So there is a chance. I still think we'll have a couple storm systems that might usher in some temperatures that might just be below freezing, maybe for a short amount of time. But as far as the Arctic air that we've just endured here a week ago, I think we've seen the last of that Arctic air for the rest of the season. So that's good news as well. Total forecasted rainfall March 1st through May 30th. Now, right now, it's kind of looking like that the Vernon, St. Clair, Benton County, you guys are going to be sitting up there right around 16.5 inches of total rainfall through this period, March 1st through May 30th. Okay, and then we have Henry, Pettis, and Bates County. We can sit there and expect right around 15.5 inches. And it looks like Johnson County is kind of the driest, but they're still anticipating almost 15 inches of rainfall through this period, March 1st through May 30th. Now, how does that stack up as far as from average? So, for St. Clair and Benton County, you guys are going to be at about 125% of average over 30 years is what you're expected during this time frame. Okay, so you're gonna have well above average precipitation through what I call the planting season. And then everybody else is still going to be in the 110 to 115% of average. So everybody in west central Missouri looks to be well above average in precipitation during that planting season, is what I like to call it, from March 30 or from March all the way through the end of April or through the end of May. Okay, so that's kind of important to know, and it would be really nice to know the breakdown on those weeks and those days for the farmers that are trying to get out in the fields, because there are going to be very few dry slots between now and the end of May. So that's where the LRC and Weather 2020 comes in so handy for these guys. And I have handed out several portfolios out to area farmers that shows them March, April, and May, when the wet weeks are, dry weeks are. And this might actually help them in those really tough decision-making process that they have to deal with. Do I plant now and take a chance of having to replant if we get a whole bunch of rain? Or do I wait and wait too long And I mean, I don't want to have those kind of decisions that to have to make as a farmer, but that's where the LRC can come in handy. So wet weeks versus dry weeks. Now this is also something that is obviously going to be very beneficial for the growers, for the farmers. So obviously the first week of March, we're up over 500% of the average rainfall over the last 30 years in that first week of March. Okay, that's what's coming in next week. We got 3 storm systems. They're going to be ample rainmakers, maybe some thunderstorms. Right now, it's looking like between 1 inch and 1.75 inches is going to be the total combined rainfall between Sunday night and Wednesday night. Now, that could move up or down just a little bit, but over the last 30 years, if we got 1 inch and 6/10, then that was almost 500% higher than the average during that week over the last 30 years. And then we go into the second week of March, looks relatively dry. And then we also have another system coming in right around the 15th through the 18th of March. And that actually is going to start a little bit sooner than that, probably closer to the 12th through the 15th or 16th on the latest projections that I just looked at a little bit ago before we started the stream. A possibility of strong storms during this event as well. And then the end of March into the first about week and a half into April, that's going to be a great dry slot right in there. Because as we go into April 12th through 15th, we are going to have a couple of very strong storm systems, likely severe weather producers, that is going to be coming in at that time. And then for about the next 3 weeks, all the way into the first week of May, we have a storm system lined up. And if you guys remember, through the course of the entire winter, we were watching these storm systems line up out into the Pacific, and one would come in, the other one would push it along, and then another one would come in and push it along. That during that stretch from about April 12th through about the first 10 days of May. So we'll have several storm systems coming in through that time. It's likely going to be very, very wet. And then we dry out for 2 weeks. And then we end the month of May with another big storm system, likely severe weather producing. So this is something that, especially, again, growers, and I can break this down day by day, hour by hour, by utilizing the dashboard and the LRC. This is just kind of a snapshot of what you can expect here over the next 3 months. So very, very useful information. And I encourage anybody that might want to see more of this, or maybe more of what it can do for you, you guys get a hold of me. I mean, I've got full access to everything. We can look at it. I'll be happy to spend time with you guys on this. Now, based on that last bar graph with the rainy weeks and the dry weeks, the key dates that we need to watch, and I am going to take that off, and I am also going to take that off. That way you guys can see well. So March 4th through the 8th, that's what's coming up here next week. Okay, so if you see the asterisks after the date, those are when the bigger storm systems are likely to come across. So March 4th through 8th, that's coming in next week. And then another wet period, March 12th through 18th. And then April 12th through 16th, that's going to be another big event that we'll have to watch very closely. April 28th, 29th, May 2nd to May 5th. And then a bigger storm system comes in May 23rd through May 30th. Now, there's not too many dry slots for the farmers out there or for the growers. So your dry slots right now to kind of think ahead is going to be the first week of April, the third week of April, and the second and third week of May. Now, that's going to be as long as the bigger systems do not, they don't allow the ground to dry. Obviously, you're not going to be able to get out in the field. So that's the wild card. Because if we should happen to get 2.5, 3.25 inches of rainfall out of a big storm, you're not going to be able to get out in the field 3-4 days later. It's going to be too wet. So as long as we get average or slightly above average rainfall, those are going to be the dry slots for the growers and for the farmers. So there's not very many of them all the way through the end of May. So that is going to be kind of I'm going to go ahead and bring back up, and this is going to be on all of our social media platforms for you guys to go back over and be able to take a look at it again if you don't get these dates written down. Or I can just send you a copy. I'll be happy to do that as well. So that was the rainfall and the temperatures that we can expect here in West Central Missouri. Now, as Gary has said, he has that new product that is available to us here at Subby's Weather Talk, and it is based on the LRC, when the most likely time for severe weather. And it's looking like here in West Central Missouri, we're going to get kind of an early start, and then everything's going to kind of shift off to the southeast and down in Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas. And then our severe season is really going to ramp up in May and June. So last year, we only had 2 severe events that happened in June last year. This year, I'm expecting up to 11 severe episodes in the month of June. So May and June are going to be our most active times for severe weather. But I am going to show you guys that product, and we will go through that. So, and again, at Weather 2020, they tap into the predictive power of the Lees-Zach recurring cycle. 91% accuracy is what was gained in 2024 with the severe weather forecast guide. 91% showed the area that it was at, showed the date that it was at, all months before it happened. So that's the power of the LRC. In the past 2 decades, Weather 2020 has been transforming long-range weather forecasting. And as you look through this forecast guide, the hurricane season guide, and winter storm forecast guides, the goal is to answer where and when these significant weather events will happen. And we have access to all of those reports right here at Subby's Weather Talk. So Gary likes to call these the weather seeds. So as we are looking, the cycle sets up on October 6th. October 6th, during that solstice, that's when the North Pole is completely dark for 24 hours. That's when the LRC sets up. That's the beginning date, October 6th. And we wait for the upper air pattern at 18,000 feet to repeat itself. And we call that a cycle. And then we wait for the next cycle just to see if we were right. And then by the start of winter, by that third week of December, we have our number of days in between cycles set, and we can project them out for the next 10 months for long-term forecasting. So during those cycles, there are some little seeds that are planted that he begins to pick up on, such as the October 25th, October 24 near Kansas City. That was related to December 8th and 10th, January 18th and 20th. And then there's 4 other seeds that he saw a common characteristic for between the two cycles. And that's what he calls weather seeds. Now, the first episode of severe weather, this was issued on February 8th, but this was set back toward Thanksgiving. So March 3rd through the 7th, severe weather outlook issued February 8th, 2025. Now, this segment, March 3rd through 7th, was, it produced severe weather in early November, mid-December, and a setup for severe weather in January. So each cycle, we were seeing the setup for severe weather. So it did produce some severe weather in Oklahoma and Missouri in 2 out of the 3 cycles. So that means there's a 67% chance probability that there's going to be severe weather in that red area. And of course, with the latest Storm Prediction Center outlook, this is just what I find fascinating. And I'm going to bring this over. So you see where the threat for severe weather that he had forecasted from the LRC weeks ago, even months ago, but formally since February 8th. And now look, the Storm Prediction Center just come out with their new severe weather outlook for next week. And take a look at where that's at. Right where the LRC projected to be severe weather. This is a 30% chance that strong thunderstorm, possibility of tornadoes, is going to happen, and it's directly related to the LRC. It's crazy when you think about this, because this area was already highlighted back 1st of December that this was going to be an area on March 3rd through the 8th to get hit with severe weather. So I just find that absolutely fascinating. March 16th through the 22nd. Now this is also another period that I feel that West Central Missouri might get a few stronger storms. If you notice that the highlight is going to be over here in the deep south and the southeast and parts of the Atlantic states and the Ohio Valley. That's where there is a 90% chance that we will see severe outbreak in this area March 16th through 22nd. West Central Missouri, we have an outlier chance to receive some stronger storms, maybe a couple severe storms during that time period. And again, if you look on the right-hand side here, this was directly related to the other cycles all the way back into October. Now, one thing to take a look. Now, there's some relationship through this time period from the 16th through the 22nd to Hurricane Milton and a tornado outbreak in Florida in October, and severe weather again in cycle number 2 in November. So that is why we are expecting severe weather to happen in this cycle, and a 90% chance that this is going to happen between the 16th and 22nd of March. Now we go toward the last week of March. Now we're seeing 2 distinct areas of high probability of severe storms. One is down into the southern plains, into Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, and another hot zone in Georgia and Mississippi and into Tennessee and South Carolina. So 2 very distinct areas, but for our friends in Springfield, Southwest Missouri, you are in that moderate risk to see some severe thunderstorms during that last week of March as well. And again, if you look off to the right, he explains how this is actually related to all the other cycles that we've had prior since October. And every time that this verifies from the last cycle, it increases the percentage of it happening again. This is going to be a time, April 13th through 18th, that West Central Missouri will likely be under the gun. Now, this had produced some severe weather in Oklahoma and Missouri in 2 out of the 3 cycles. So, it's strong likelihood that we will be under the gun for some severe weather April 13th through the 18th. So, and of course, these are all related to the previous cycles. And again, if we had that storm system in that exact place last cycle, it increases the odds that we are going to get it this cycle. So right now, it looks like about a 75% chance to see severe weather here in West Central Missouri, April 13th through the 18th. And again, April 27th through May 3rd. And again, this is a 90 percentile risk. So this is going to be a high risk. Does incorporate some of West Central Missouri, Southwest Missouri, Southeast Missouri. So this is also going to be a time period that I have on my calendar that I'll be watching very, very closely. And of course, again, this cycle and this particular outbreak, April 27th through May 3rd, is related to the other cycles prior. So I hope you're kind of getting where we're going with that. So, you know, if it happens this cycle, it increases the odds of it happening this cycle, and that increases the odds of the next cycle, and you can continue that on. And last year, overall accuracy was 91% of all of these forecasts for severe weather. So really astounding when you think about it. So that's April 27th through May 3rd. And now we start getting into, I think, West Central Missouri's most active period, May through June. And we have a high risk of severe storms in West Central Missouri, Southwest Missouri, Eastern Kansas, May 3rd through the 10th. And this is the storm system. If you guys remember back January 5th, 6th, and 7th, that's when those major winter storms affected. Kansas City got a foot of snow. We got 5-6 inches of snow and a 1/4 inch of ice. That same system, 41 days later, 2 cycles later, is going to be May 3rd through May 10th. And that's when we are expected to have a severe weather outbreak right here in the heartland surrounding West Central Missouri. There's also going to be a secondary area as that system continues to push east that's going to affect part of the Ohio Valley and in the southeast. Hi, Kristen. Good evening. Hi, Drake. May 24th through May 30th, another almost 80% chance to see more severe weather here in West Central Missouri, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Kansas. So this is May 24th through the 30th. And again, this is the same system that produced some severe weather in Oklahoma and Missouri 2 out of 3 cycles. I've said that 2 or 3 times because every cycle is repeating itself. And depending on how our temperature profile setup is at that time, it is looking more and more likely that we could have severe weather during this time period. That's May 24th through May 30th. June 6th through 11th, we're in that 75 to 90th percentile of severe weather encompassing almost all of Missouri and all of Illinois, parts of Indiana, and Kentucky. So this is related to the December 28th outbreak for winter. And it also produced again February 5th and 6th, just not quite as big. This is the same part of the cycle that has some relationship to that Hurricane Milton and a tornado outbreak in Florida. And this is likely going to be a strong storm system that could affect us here in west central Missouri. That's June 6th through June 11th. June 12th through 18th, the following week, we also have the January 5th and 6th storm that we just talked about that dumped a foot of snow in Kansas City. This is that same system. The upper air pattern looks identically the same as what it did back January 5th and 6th. And that's the reason why we will be under the gun yet again for strong to severe thunderstorms June 12th through the 18th. And now as we go into July, we will start to see the jet stream do its typical northern retreat back up into Canada, and all the heat and humidity builds in underneath of it from the Gulf of America and coming up, and that's when we typically start to really heat up. That's our summertime pattern. That's not saying that we don't get thunderstorms, but the threat of severe outbreaks really begin to increase up in the northern United States and into Canada. This is the time that they start their severe weather season up in Canada. That's the reason why you see a lot of the storm chasers, typically right around the 1st of July, they all head up to Manitoba and up in Canada to storm chase, because that's where typically all of the tornadoes are going to be happening up there. Because without the aid of the jet stream, we get thunderstorms, but it's really hard to get them to rotate without having the help of the jet stream at 18,000 feet to help stir those winds up. So that's all happening up in Canada from July and into August and September, and then we kind of start that slow retreat of the jet stream down to the south. And when that happens, as we start to get into late fall, that's when we have our second severe storm season. It's typically milder, but as that jet stream retreats and we get the use out of that jet stream to help churn up the atmosphere, to get some wind shear, that's kind of our second part of our severe weather season. Hi, Clint. So all in all, we have a fairly active severe storm season that is planned right now for west central Missouri. So, we're going to be starting on Monday is going to be Severe Storm Awareness Week. And I encourage you to follow all of our social media platforms, as we'll be giving some helpful hints, some safety precautions that you take. I do know that on March 4th, next week, I will be in Sedalia in Pettis County at the junior high school in Sedalia. And at 6:30, I am going to be putting on a radar tech class and severe weather seminar. I encourage you guys. It's going to be a fun class. We got some giveaways. We got a couple contests. It's just kind of a great refresher for severe storm season, and I think there's going to be several of the Sedalia school district teachers that are going to be there. We're going to be talking about apps for your phone. You're going to have a chance to win an app on your phone, so it's going to be a good time. So I'll be posting some graphics on our social media pages on when, where this event is going to take place, but it's next Tuesday, March 4th at 6:30 at the junior high school in Sedalia, Missouri. So if anybody would like to know more about the LRC, possibly take advantage of some of these tools, they have a package in which you get the outlooks that we just seen. You'll get weekly, sometimes twice a week videos sent to your email from Gary Lezak talking about the weather in our area. You'll get access to so much with this package. It's really catered around the agriculture industry. So, if you're a larger farmer, in which, having to replant, that's thousands of dollars in seed, in fertilizer, fuel, labor. That's huge. And the LRC can help you make those decisions. And if anybody is interested, they can go, this is the link. I'm just going to bring this right over here. Because I am partnering up with Gary Lezak, we have our own landing page. So he had mentioned in his video to contact Bryce. That's Bryce Palmer over at Weather 2020. You guys can contact me. And they have several different packages that you guys can take a look at. There are some trial periods too that I'm sure I can get Bryce to set you guys up with. And then on top of that, you're also going to get some very, very good Subbies promo discounts. So if anybody is interested in the LRC, make sure you come see me first. This isn't all I'm saying. I'm going to be sharing all the information with you guys here, just like I always do. But I do know I have three guys that are especially interested in this. I'd say that they'll probably want to pull the trigger, and if they're going to be doing that anyway, then they might as well come through me and save a little bit of money. Because you'll get all kinds of products. You'll get the intelligent report that comes out every week. You'll get the weather vision dashboard. That was some that you've seen in my PowerPoint on some of the graphs and temperatures. You'll get full access to that. You'll get the seasonal weather reports, and you'll get the global predictor. And this is such a great deal. Anybody can get the global predictor. It's like, I don't know, $4 a month through Apple, Android. You can put it on your tablet, your phone, and you can get the forecast 6 months in advance anywhere around the world. So just for instance, say if somebody decided they're going to head down to Tampa, Florida on, say, May 16th. So there's Tampa, and we go over to May, and we go to May 16th. So the high is going to be 83 degrees in Tampa. The low temperature is going to be 65, and no rain in the forecast for Tampa. Anybody can get this global predictor, and like I said, it's $4 or $5 a month on your Apple or Android. So there's so much. They compiled all that information from the dashboard, all the graphs, the raw data, everything. They compile it into this app that you can get for your desktop, phone, tablet, doesn't make any difference. And it makes it so easy to use, especially if you're, say if you're a planner, a wedding planner, a party planner. If you want to know what the weather's going to be in August, if you work for a firework company and you want to see what the 4th of July is going to be at your location, if you have to plan for rain or no rain, this is so awesome to be able to use right at your fingertips. So if anybody has any questions on the LRC, feel free to reach out to me. Like I said, I'm an open book. I'll be more than happy to, there's so much that you can gather from the data. Nothing is going to be 100% accurate 100% of the time. But what I can do, if I just had the global predictor and I can take a look at Tampa and I look, now 0.09 is inch. You can't necessarily go by the exact measurements of precipitation. You look kind of at trends. Now, there's going to be a storm system coming through the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of May in Tampa. It's not going to produce a whole lot of precipitation, but you can plan on rain. Okay, now, last year in August, I was able to sit there and take a look at Tampa, and they had 4 days that they forecasted over 3 inches of rain. Now, how does one place like Tampa get 3 inches of rain over 4 days? It has to be a tropical system, a hurricane or a tropical storm. And that's exactly what happened. And so just by something as simple as the global predictor, you can look out long range and you can see trends of what is going on. As far as temperatures, don't get too keyed in on the temperatures. This is trending. This is a trending predictor. So when you see these light blue colors like this, that means that it's going to be well below average temperatures. Okay, so the darker shade of blue means it's really way below average. If it's a little lighter blue, that means it's just 2 to 3 degrees cooler than average for Tampa on that date. Now the oranges and the yellows, the darker shade of orange they are, the higher that they are above average, and vice versa. So I can take a look right now at Tampa in August, and I can tell you that the first 2 weeks is going to be a much colder than average by about 3 or 4 degrees. As far as precipitation, it's going to be dry though, so that's great. Now, the last 2 weeks of August in Tampa, it's going to be at average temperature, maybe slightly above. Okay, and so, 90, 92, that's just slightly above average for Tampa during this time of year. And of course, dry for the last 2 weeks of the month. So, a farmer can take a look at the global predictor and take a look at April, May, and parts of June, in which he's going to be out planting, and he can see where the wet weeks are going to be, the dry weeks are going to be, and ballparking a pretty good idea what the temperatures are going to be doing. And that's so beneficial if you know that in a month in advance, where you can make sure that you have your fertilizer ordered, your seed ready to go, so that when those dry weeks get, you can head out to the field. So this is all part of the power of the LRC. It's been fascinating to watch, and it's been fascinating to be able to share with all of you guys as well. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. That pretty much sums up the severe weather forecast, as well as the kind of a heads up on when the rain and the rainy and dry weeks are coming up this spring. And again, you're more than welcome to rewatch this, write down some key dates if you would like, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you guys might have. And especially this page here, this is going to tell you when our storms are going to be coming in and where our dry slots are going to be for the spring. So definitely encourage you guys to jump in there and write some of these dates down. And if you have any questions, reach out. I'll be happy to talk with you about the LRC or Weather 2020 anytime. And don't forget that we only have till Sunday night at 5 o'clock to get any entries in for our raffle fundraiser. We are going to be picking the winners Sunday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on all the social media platforms. We're going to be doing similar like we did last year, where we randomize all the prizes, and we got a big fun wheel that we spin with everybody's name on it, and we'll see who's going to be taking home all the prizes. So right now, you've got a 1 in 3 chance of winning a prize. I mean, I don't know very many raffles that you have odds like that. 1 in 3 people that are signed up right now is going to win a prize. And we have everything from a $500 home weather station to tons of pullovers, sweatshirts, t-shirts. We've got rain gauges, weather radios. We got gift certificates to just about any place here in West Central Missouri. And I still have to get some tomorrow from another 2 more businesses. There's just not enough time in the day, guys, to get all these prizes. That is so awesome. I thank everybody for their support here over the last 2 or 3 weeks we've been running this. We have Subby's Weather Talk 100% paid for 2025. I couldn't be more ecstatic about that than what I am. So make sure, if you haven't entered, if you want to, you can take a look at one of the posts there on Subby's Weather Talk. It has the links where you can throw a donation. Any amount will get you entered into the contest. And we will be having live raffle off on Sunday night at 7 o'clock. So thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. And again, if you missed something, feel free to go back, rewatch it, fast forward to the spot that you want to go, write down some key dates, and then I'll be really focusing on the storm system coming in next week. I do think we're going to get some thunderstorms on Tuesday. Right now, most of all the strong to severe storms are going to be to our south, but just a slight shift of 50 miles to the north of this storm system could put us into a little bit of a risk to see a couple of strong to severe storms on Tuesday. So I'll be watching that very closely and updating as we go through the weekend and into next week. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys so much. Alan, thank you. Hi, Joyce. And everybody that joined tonight, I appreciate it. I hope you got some information out of this and you found that enjoyable. So I try to do this every season, a winter forecast and a severe storm forecast. And again, if anybody has any questions, reach out and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Everybody stay weather aware. We'll be